there I was on the USS Missouri, where General MacArthur and the rest of them signed the agreement to end the war. I was in the Navy for 7.5 years and got out and spent the rest of it in the Army, 20 years and 29 days. I was in Vietnam for a year. I was in Yokosuka, Japan for 2 years, which was a support activity for the Korean War. I always wanted to go into the Navy and sail the world. And it didn't turn out like that way. I spent 30 days on a LST going to Yokosuka, Japan in 1951. I worked for the telephone exchange, and I did that for a while. I was on duty, and my job was to repair telephone lines. And I got this call from my boss telling me that I need to go to the USS Missouri and repair their telephones. So went down to the docks, and I told them who I was, and they said, "We need you bad." They sent a barge that was, it wasn't the Admiral's barge, but it was one that when they wanted to go on Liberty to Yokosuka, they would send a boat. They would fill them up with the sailors, and off they would go. And I just was lucky that they had one available when I went down. I presented myself to the lieutenant that was in charge of the deck, told him who I was and what I was there for. And he said, we really need you, we need you. And we started checking. We had our instruments, and we worked and worked for, maybe 4 hours before we were able to find some area that was having problems with it. It just was an old ship. And then we came back the next day to make sure that it was still repaired. For a young, influential sailor like myself, it was because that's where the war with Japan ended. And I really felt, when I told my father, he was really impressed with me. But there I was on the USS Missouri, where General MacArthur and the rest of them signed the agreement to end the war. Then I decided that I wanted to go to Hospital Corpsman, and that's where I got my medical background, working in surgery as well as taking care of patients. I wanted to be with the Marines, and the Navy takes care of the Marines. And I ended up with the Marines probably about 1.5 years, 2 years. And that was probably the best time that I spent while I was in the service as a hospital corpsman with the Marines. They took care of you because we took care of them. In Vietnam, we had 3 patients that were in the back of the ICU that had been hit in the head with fragments, and they were dying, and there was nothing we could do for them because they were gone, but they're breathing. I'll never forget their breathing as long as I live. It was sad. There was a wreck, and the doctor and I took an ambulance to the site, and this gentleman had wrapped his car around a highline pole, and somebody had to get in the car and take care of him while they pull that car off the highline pole. I said I'd do it, and I got in the car. They busted the window out. I got in the car and comforted him while they pulled the car apart. And I got the Navy commendation for that. The others were just doing my job. One in Vietnam and one in San Antonio. We were going to take care of LBJ, but he passed away before he could get there. But we took care of all kinds of patients there. My father was very proud that I was, of the medals that I received while I was in the service. And I never regretted being in the service.